due to some personal reasons, which I don't intend to go into very much, this may well be the last video I post for some time. So I'm going to release this video in two different formats. One format is a standard length video edited down with me wittering over the top of it, and then the other format is just 2.5 hours of ambient noise only, canal cruising, no music and no narration. Whichever version you watch, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope I will see you again at some point in the future. Goodbye. Okay, so this is the me wittering version. So let me expand a little bit further. I'm not dying. I'm just going to likely have to move onto dry land for a while, away from my boat and where there's not very many canals, so it doesn't look very likely that I'll be making very many canal videos. But in order to do that, I need somewhere to store my boat. And one potential place to put it is on a winter mooring. Now, a winter mooring is exactly what it seems. It's a place where you can moor over the winter in line. You don't get any electricity or water or anything like that. You just get a space to moor and you don't have to move every 2 weeks. To give you an idea of why it is I continuously cruise, this winter mooring is the cheapest one available anywhere in the country. In fact, it's in the cheapest band, and it's costing me about 660 quid for 4 months of not having to move. Now, actually, by mooring standards, that's pretty cheap, but that should give you a little bit of insight into why it is that I don't have a permanent mooring. Okay, well, the next thing to do is to think about where it is precisely we are going. So let's look at a map. So this is the city of Milton Keynes, and we are going to be moving from here where it says BP Pulse Charging Station, and we're going to be going up to here where it says Stanton Low Country Park Car Park, and that's where my winter moorings are. Now let's zoom in, because unfortunately the journey is not quite as straightforward as it might seem at first. So here we go. We are going to be starting here. That's not actually my boat, but that's almost exactly where it is. And then we're going to go all the way up here, and we're going north, 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 which is absolutely fine. Let's talk about some of the things we're going to come across along the way. We're going to come across Campbell Wharf Marina, which is a new marina. There is the route of the proposed Bedford to Milton Keynes route, which, if built, would be the first new canal for about 100 years. After a little while, you then come across the extremely odd Pennylands Marina. Here it is. It is a private marina with, as far as I can see, very nearly no boats in it at all, and it's this weird E-shape built in the 1980s. So we'll have a look at that. This is the sort of local boating club. It's mostly short boats, it's mostly plastic boats. I can't remember what it's called, Lionheart maybe. And then we carry on going northity, northity, north, but quite soon we end up, we're going to go past here, which is the grounds of Linford Manor. I rather like this, but there used to be a very big posh house here. I don't think it's there anymore, but the whoever built the house built this ornamental pond, which is actually lower than the line of the canal, and the canal's just sliced straight through across it, which I think is quite funny. Okay, so, and then the last thing we're going to do is, see, we've been in Milton Keynes, but the last thing we're going to do is we're going to end up going weirdly out of Milton Keynes into the middle of absolutely nowhere, and then curving back on ourselves to arrive back through Stanton Low Country Park and arrive back in Milton Keynes, and we're going to stop around about here. So let's go back to the video and we will make a start. Okay, here we are coming through and past Campbell Wharf Marina. Those boats you can see on the right are in the entrance to the proposed Bedford to Milton Keynes route. Campbell Wharf Marina is very strange. It doesn't feel like Milton Keynes. Milton Keynes doesn't have a lot of sort of posh flats, and this is entirely posh flats. It looks frankly like a chunk of London, but nevertheless it is very smart and very lovely and very new, and it is, perfectly pleasant to cruise through. One of the slightly frustrating things is that there are some excellent moorings coming up on the left hand side which appear to be chained off and have been for years and years and years, which is a pity because boats could use them very nicely. Another thing which is true about here is that there is a trip boat which runs from here. It is run by the people that are trying to build the Bedford to Milton Keynes waterway. It's called Electra. It's an electric trip boat, and you can go for lovely boat trips along the canal on the trip boat. That's it really for here. When we get round the corner in a minute, you will see that there is this weird, sort of slightly rusty looking three-way bridge. It's supposed to be rusty. It is a what do you call it? A sort of sculptural thing. So it's there to be a statement, I think. In fact, just going around the corner, you can see it in the distance now. So that's Campbell Wharf Marina. Now let's motor on until we go past Pennylands, which you don't really get to see from the canal apart from the entrance. Okay, are you ready to blink and miss the Pennylands Marina? So coming under this bridge, it's actually a relatively large body of water, but the entrance is absolutely minuscule, and is coming up on our left. It's just after the boat you can see on the right. It has one of those signs in the entrance which always makes me itch, which is one of these signs, saying private marina, no turning, no entry, no looking, no having fun, and in particular the sign that says no turning basically always makes you want to turn, even if I'm going the direction I want to go. It's very weird. I think it is more or less a failed experiment. Basically it's loads and loads of houses with moorings at the bottom of their gardens, and I think they were going to be sold as special premium houses with special moorings, but basically nobody has a boat at the bottom of their garden. They're all just houses, and it's just like they've got a really big connected ornamental pond, so it is, as far as I can see, pretty much a waste of space. I'm sure there's a couple of people who use it and keep boats in there. I'm sure that's lovely, but for most people it's just one of these things. Here we go, just going past it now on the left, where you go past it and go, well, that was a waste of time. Okay, let's crack on to our next exciting spot to talk. Okay, here is our exciting local boat club. I like this boat club a lot more than I like Pennylands Marina because it has a variety of boats in it that I think you might describe as sort of down the more everyman end of the market. There's some very, very lovely smart boats here, but there's also some comically tatty ones, and they seem to have their own clubhouse, and they seem to have jolly good fun going for jaunts up and down the canal, which is all very nice. and as you can see, they're inline moorings, so there's not too much of that going on in Milton Keynes, so more power to their elbows, say I. Let's crack on. Okay, it's time to stop for a wee, and also to empty my rubbish, and also to have a cup of coffee, and also now would be a really good time to discover that I had forgotten to press record on my rear camera, and therefore we have only the front camera for the first basically 3/4 of this journey, so that's always fun to find out. Nevertheless, let us stop, and then we can crack on with our journey, going up and around and looping over the top of Stantonbury, such that we can find our winter mooring. Here on the right is an old pub, and just beyond it, where you can see the sort of orange brick wall and the towpath quality changes briefly, that is where the Newport Pagnell Canal left, off to the right. It is almost completely gone now, virtually no trace of it left. I made a video about it a few videos ago, so do go and check that out. And this rather lovely railway bridge, disused, coming up, is where the railway which replaced the Newport Pagnell Canal came across the canal and ran down towards the track of the Newport Pagnell Canal and took it over. The railway was more or less as short-lived as the Newport Pagnell Canal and closed, although the railway station and buildings and so on existed in Newport Pagnell right up to the 1980s, when those early 18th century buildings, because they were canal buildings, were unceremoniously knocked down and replaced with some hideous pizza parlour. So there we go. And it's time to come to a halt, pull over, moor, and that's me at my winter mooring until the foreseeable future. I hope you've enjoyed watching these videos. I have certainly enjoyed making them. Goodbye and good night.